Hi folks, and welcome back to Growing Our Retirement. We just want to go a little bit further with showing you how you can improve your nursery irrigation system. We've done a number of videos on how to build one, but now we're going to talk about how to expand it a little bit more and to be able to control it more from one spot using our pond pump and building a manifold to control all of our zones. So we're going to start the day out in the shop today, so let's get going and put this together. Okay, so we're in the garage today. It's raining out. It's a good time to put this all together. So this is the manifold for our irrigation pump, and instead of trying to fool around with all of the hoses and putting them on and off, and there's a process of priming the pump that I wanted to address. So let's just talk about what this is going to look like. So this is going to be the piece that screws into the top of the pump. It's a 1-inch fitting, and it goes to a 3/4 inch PVC pipe fitting. So that's going to go together like that, and then we're just going to go up to a T, and so the T is going to allow us to split that water, and then we're also going to have to control the water. So we're going to go off to another T. We'll have a little piece of PVC, a valve on and off, an adapter to go to pipe thread to hose fitting. And so we're going to put a little bit of Teflon tape on that so it doesn't leak. And that's the basic setup for one of the valves. I'm going to make a second valve so we can turn this one off and run just this one, or turn this one off and run just this one. And then we're also, if you can see already, we've got a third leg here in case I want to go to a third hose, which I do possibly plan to go to. So then we're going to come out to the end. I'm going to leave a little stub, and then I'm going to just cap it off. And the reason I like to have T's with a stub is I can always cut this and add to the system later if I want to make it larger. Same on the other side. I'm going to end in a valve that I can turn off. And then I'm going to have just a 3/4 inch elbow here so that I can turn off all of the valves. So all of the water is going to go back towards the pump. And I can use this as my point to prime my pump. So let's start putting it together. I'm going to cut up a bunch of small 3/4 inch PVC pipe pieces so that I can put it all together, prime it, and glue it all together. All right, I've cut up a lot of small PVC connector pieces, and I'm going to start priming and gluing. That's going to be a bit of a process. There's a lot of joints here, so we'll just take some shots along the way. One thing I did want to point out is I want to make sure that my whole manifold assembly is pretty far high up above my pump. So I have left this one main feeder piece kind of large to keep this up so that I could put this all together and essentially screw it into the pump. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to put in this one whole riser piece, and I'm going to make my last glue joint right here at the top of the riser when I'm finished, and then just set it down and angle it the way I want. But I could remove this whole manifold from the pump, and I'll show you me installing it so you see just what I mean. But we don't want to have all of these valves and connections right at the pump spot. We want to keep them a little bit away from it. So here we go gluing. So everything's primed up, and you want to think about this in terms of little sub-assemblies and put things together little by little. Remember to push and twist. Okay, everything's glued up. I've managed to keep most of it off of my workbench here. We've got everything all set to go. Starting from right to left, we've got an inlet for priming the pump. In that case, I'd have all the other valves off, and I would have be pouring water here with that valve on, and the water would move down here straight to my pump. This is my pump riser piece. The water would fill up, and I could close that valve once it's full and go ahead and prime my pump, and I'd have a little extra water in the system feeding down into the pump, which would be nice. I also know that I have a hose circuit that's going to go uphill, and it goes up into one section of the nursery that is uphill from the pump. When I'm finished with that circuit, I can close it, and what's great is I'd have a bunch of water uphill of my pump, and when I'm ready to prime it, I can just simply open it, and it's going to fill my pump with water that's pumped up into that hose, into that uphill section of the nursery. So, and then I've got my final circuit here. I just stub out at the end with a cap, and all that's really left now is to install all of the pipe to garden hose brass pieces that are just going to thread right into these ends. And I'm going to go ahead and put them all on, and then I'll give them a tighten. I have put Teflon tape on these. I don't know if that's necessary when you're going from brass to plastic, but I don't really want to get down by my pump and find out that I wish I had put some Teflon tape on. So that's it. That's a finished circuit. And so that one valve would turn on that garden hose, which runs out to my irrigation areas where I have more PVC, and you've seen our other videos where I've put together some pretty simple but effective 3/4 inch pipe irrigation systems. So we film these things just in case you're doing something very similar. Maybe this isn't that complicated, but maybe somebody's never done it before. I really did get tired of changing all of the hoses, and you're going to see after I put this onto the pump how much easier it's going to make my life. It's going to be easier to prime the pump. I can control where water goes much easier. I don't have to screw hoses on and off all the time. I've got some room for expansion, and I can make the system even larger if I want to use this stub out here and go out and make some more circuits. And if you're putting something like this together, hope this helps you think it through and plan it out. Next step is to install it on the pump. So this is our pond pump, and it gets fed right from our pond. It works fantastic. However, it does need to be primed, and it also only has one outlet, of course. So we're going to replace this outlet with our manifold riser. I did put Teflon tape on this, which I'm not sure is necessary with plastic to metal, but better safe than sorry. It's nice and snug. And then we can decide how we want this to sit. So, I mean, it could sit this way. It could sit this way. I'm gonna set it up to sit this way. And I'm gonna move the camera so that you can see what that looks like. All right, so this is gonna work out great for me. I'm gonna have a place to prime my pump from. I'm gonna have an extra outlet for future. And then I'm gonna have 2 hose outlets for my 2 nursery areas, both the newer area and then the area that we've had for a long time up on the side. And so this is going to feed both of those. Plus it's going to give me a place to fill a hose from. It takes a long time to fill buckets or watering pails from our house well pump, and I'd like to find out if I can have a little faster way to fill buckets, because we do have to do a little bit of hand watering on certain plants. So let's go ahead and glue this up. I've already primed these. I'm just going to give them a quick clean. I did have a small concern about this being a little bit fragile, and I'm not really that worried about it, because I think once I attach my hoses, which I'll go ahead and do right now, all right, and then you're going to have to think about your valving. So if I want to prime the pump, I want to have everything closed, and I want to have this valve open and pour my water in up here. So let's go ahead and do the priming. Okay, it's great. I'm able to get a lot of water into here and really make a good prime. So this should just start right up. Now, all right, once you know you've got enough water in to adequately prime the pump, you're going to want to turn one of your circuits on, so your pump, as it pumps up, is going to be able to move some water somewhere. You don't want it to be restricted, of course, so you've got to pump somewhere. So you got to open one valve, and we've got this fully charged with water, and it really should prime right up. I could see it drawing water through the intake. And the pump makes a distinctive sound once it's fully primed and it's worked the air out. So I can see my sprinkler heads over here now running. They're spitting a little air still too. And I want to show just how easy it would be now to switch, instead of taking hoses on, taking hoses off, to switch to my other circuit, which is our nursery area on the other side. So I turned off one circuit, turned on the other. And they are just that easily, they are spraying water. So one of the things that I thought about how to make this whole system even a little bit easier and eliminate a lot of the priming is this whole circuit is all uphill. So as soon as I turn this circuit off, it's going to trap all that water in uphill from here. So if I turn it off, turn on my other circuit, I now have a lot of water in this line that I can go ahead and release to prime my pump each time I start the pump. So it's going to save myself all of that time priming from here on out. Now let's just see how the hose works here, because I want to see if I can fill buckets up down here. I believe I can, so that'll be the next thing that we test. All right, so the next thing we want to do is check and see how this is going to work out for filling jugs. Eventually I'd like to get a tank back here for spot watering things around the property. For now I'm just using, I've got these 3 5-gallon jugs. They work fine. One's already full. But I just want to see what kind of pressure I can get directly from the hose right here and how fast I can fill one. So I'm going to turn off my one irrigation circuit, turn on my hose, and actually the pressure is incredible. So the time to fill these jugs is probably going to drop down to almost nothing. That one's full. And finally my 2-gallon watering pail. That really fills fast, it's great. So I'm super happy with the way this turned out. It's pretty rugged. It's rugged enough for my application. I've got 3 circuits and actually a kind of a 4th circuit here for priming the pump. I've got a way to hold some water back in the system so I really never have to prime the pump again from little buckets. And then I've got room for expansion on either end. I can always cut this up and change it, but it's fine. For what I'm going to be doing now, 3 circuits is plenty. Having a way to fill water jugs quickly is really going to be a time saver. And the cost really was not very much. You know, it's pennies in pipe. You've got a few dollars in these valves and these little brass connectors that go from pipe thread to garden hose thread. I think the whole thing was about $60 in total. And that's really not bad for all the time it's going to save me. And I'm watering right now. So thanks for watching. We show you these things, you know, they're little tips, they're what we're doing. It's not the only way to do them, but it is how we're doing them. And hopefully you know, gain a little something from this and work it into what you're doing. So thanks for watching. We appreciate it.